Hey, party people. Today we are transferring my muslin drape to paper and we're going to make our first pattern. All right. So when this was still on the dress form, I made sure to draw in on both sides because once we unpin everything, like you have every single piece has to have all the information by itself. So I drew everything, notches, seam lines on both sides. I renumbered the pattern. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 front to back. And these green lines, you see this is center front. And you see how this is parallel to center front. So is this. And a little bit, this one is a little bit less so, got a little wonky. We'll adjust that, okay? And then this one, okay, is kind of like going along the side seam. We're gonna unpin. So remember when I was initially draping, I had a front panel with 3 bones across the front, and then I had a back panel that was going to have 2 bones and then a row of grommets in between the 2 bones, and they were just going to be straight rectangles. And of course I might have to adjust the top and bottom hemlines for shape, but essentially that's what they were going to be. So I went ahead and drafted those because drawing rectangles is boring to watch. All right, so this is my center front piece. I'm going to show you 2 different methods to tracing out your patterns, okay? So this is a tracing wheel, and this is a very common thing in a lot of pattern makers kits. And I do have an Amazon link for pattern making and sewing tools and recommendations that I will link in the description box below if you're looking for what you might need in a pattern maker's kit. But this is a tracing wheel. It is sharp. It stays sharp forever. This is literally the one I had from college. I like using the dot paper. It helps visualize very quickly like what my grains are and where things need to be laid out. So I'm gonna line up the grain from my muslin with the paper that I drew. And I'm going to tape it. And you're going to trace your lines, and you're going to trace all your notches, and you're literally going to trace them. All right, and I'm just going to mark it with a small number 2 to remind me that what pattern piece this is. Now, if you don't have a tracing wheel, and you're going to get one, but you don't have one right now, I'll show you what you can do. So take your muslin and trim. Don't go to the very edge, but trim less than your seam allowance. There's your green line. And you're going to line it up again with, and leave plenty of space around each pattern piece so that you have room to add seam allowance and to make minor adjustments to the line. Okay, so that's the end of my other pattern piece. That's a little too close for comfort for me. I like to play it safe. That's how I am. So I'm just going to move this over and move it over a little bit like that. Line up my green line, my center front with this line, and tape kind of close, okay, so that only a little bit of the tape is sticking out on the side, okay? And then you're going to draw the seam allowance. So you're going to line up your ruler with the curve of your pattern piece, and that's the outside edge. That's your seam allowance line. Okay, see, now my tape is in the way. And now you know why I told you to get skinny with the tape. And you know, you can adjust the seam allowance later on for different kinds of seam finishes. The purpose of this is to get the shape down on paper. And then once you have your shape, okay, you definitely want to transfer your notches. I think that's it for notches. And then peel this up. And then go ahead and draw in your seam lines, which are now 1/2 inch from the cut edge. And this might seem tedious, but listen, you have to draw the sew line and the seam allowance no matter which way you do the tracing anyway. So it's fine. It's whatever. You have to do it anyway. I mean, I prefer the tracing wheel because then I don't have to trim all of my muslin drapes, but that's pretty much it. So now we're going to trace out all of your muslins, okay? If you're using the tracing wheel and you're just doing the shapes, you don't have to add seam allowance right away because we still have to walk and true all of our seams first. But you do eventually have to add seam allowance. You definitely want to smooth things out, you know, like because human hands and things, it's like the dots are like, boop, 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 just like a little bit. You do want to follow the direction it curves, but you see a lot of them are like straight and curved, like gentle sloping curves. You don't want it to be like, you know. I'm probably going to true this out to be a more gentle sloping curve and not quite so angular. And using the ruler really helps kind of smooth out and average out all your little tracing wheel dots. Don't pull the muslin. You just want to lay it as flat and natural. Okay? No yanking, no pulling. This is the one where I wanted to change my mind about applying the grain line. I wanted it like this, but I think I'm going to make it parallel to center back. And I added the waist notches here, and they're at an angle that, you know, because it's going to sit, the waist is like this, and the piece sits like this in proportion to, in relation to the waist. And so I think I'm going to change my grain line to make it perpendicular to the waist, like so. We're here. And I'm going to make this my new grain line. Now we're going to walk our pattern, which means matching up two edges that are going to be sewn together to make sure that they're the same length and that the pieces flow smoothly into one another. Okay, so I'm going to start at the back because it's the easiest to demo with. Okay, first of all, this is the center back, right? And so we are matching sew line to sew line on the center back. Why did I not add a seam allowance to the back? So this is my center back panel. It's going to have bones on either side and then grommets that sit all along the middle. And this is my sew line that's going to attach to so we're matching sew line to sew line. Now, because I want it to flow smoothly, it has to be a little bit 90 degrees. Oh my God, if you're in my Patreon pattern making class, I'm sure you're sick of me talking about this, but there are just gonna have to be some sections where it's a little bit 90 degrees in the beginning, even if it curves out later, so that it transitions smoothly from the other piece, okay? And so when you sew this together, you know, because it's a little bit 90 degrees before it curves out, it flows smoothly. And same here. This is 90 degrees. It's only like a little bit anyway, right? So the bottom here is 7/8 of an inch. And the bottom here, an inch and a 16th. Okay, so I'm going to average those out. I don't know if you remember when I was draping, I wanted a few of these very center back, center front pieces to be the same. Now, for the sake of clarity in video, I'm going to do my corrections in red just so you can see the difference in what I'm working with. Actually, I remembered I have these mechanical colored pencils. And I am going to mark this a hair in here and a hair in there, okay? Just tiny adjustments like that, okay? And I don't really like this curve, and I'm gonna go ahead and use my hip curve to see if that'll give me a more accurate slope. And I'm gonna pinch that out because I think it does make for a better. And now we are going to walk these two seams. Some people line it up like that. Oh, and we've matched our notch. That's good. Okay, and we have this flowing up there like that. And that's good. Just true that curve. So it's just like a little hair, but it makes the whole thing smoother. And then this is number 7. Where's my 6? Okay. So we're here, and I mean, let's get in here and true this curve. So it's nice curve, no herky-jerky angles. So we're here, and yep, notch matches there. Waist notch lines up beautifully. And so that's going to be where that meets. All right? Beautiful. All right? And then we're going to need number 5. So we have the 3 notches in a row here so that we know that these match up together. And this one, I mean, it's a very gentle slope. And wow, that's like super off. Should be like much higher up here. if I go here, no, see, the notches don't match up either. It's a little at the top and a little at the bottom. TBA, we've marked that just like that for now. Let's match 6 and 5 together. So the waist is here. Here. And here. And here. Okay. It's number 5 that's causing us all the problems. So let's start here and match up this notch. Or we match up the waist notch. Let's match up the waist notch. New notch down here. And now this is actually flowing nicely. Okay, like that. So that's good. And then again, from the waist up here, and that's like almost perfect curve match, and we're here. Wow, that is really redonkulous. Okay, so let's put that there like that. This is 7. And this was matched up really well. This was matched up really well. So maybe we need that. So what I want to do is average out the difference. Okay. There are going to be times where it's super obvious that one piece is really wonky, but in something like this where the shapes are so regular that there's no distinct, like, this is what a lot of side front panels look like. This is what a lot of center front panels look like. In absence of that information, I would err on compromising between the two lines. So I'm going to get in here like that. And divvy up the difference. Okay, I'm going to divvy up the difference. I'm going to put that in there like that. And like that. X out this line. That's my new line. Let's realign this here. Okay. That actually lines up. That lines up fine. And then so here's what I want to do here. Now that we have this lined up, I'm going to take and then the bra cup sits in here, and that's why there's like a length discrepancy. So here is that. So let's line that up and draw a new top line like that. Okay. So that is all smooth, and then the bra cup will sit on top like that. And then we are going to trace it all the way down. And that's our new top line. But now, this is coming up a little bit. Right? So it went up a little bit, but then it tapers to 0. So this was really, this little bit was really what changed. So we've made some adjustments there, but I think now we're good. And then, so this is lined up really well. There's your double notch. Okay. And then if you wanted to, you could have a notch that sits like that to mark where the bra cup is. Number 2, where are you? Number 2. And that's good. And that's good. Although, I mean, I don't know why that dip in the curve is there. That doesn't seem necessary, so. I do want to fix this bottom here, because remember how I wanted them all to be kind of the same width. Okay, these 3 panels. And this is not quite 3/4. This is a hair past 3/4. And this is not quite 3/4. So let's fix it. Lining up the waist. So I do want to curve it a little bit. Just the tiniest lift. The itty bittiest lift. Itty bittiest little freaking hairs. Ooh. You're like, Zoe, is anyone even gonna notice that? Let's work on the bra cup. I mean, this is center front. This is gonna sit here, and the bra cup's gonna sit here. Blah blah blah. Okay. Bra cups. All right. This is number 3. So this is the side front. And, you know, this is center front. Okay. And we have this happening. And then all this is going to get scrunched into this. Okay. So let's walk this. It actually lines up perfectly with no ease. So you know what? Let's leave it alone. Let's leave it alone. Okay? I draped it. I pinned it. I stitched it. And now it has no ease. Okay. Whatever. I'm gonna just... what a... Such a wonky little line. There we go. That's That's what I want. Okay, so that's done. So it's gonna go like that, and that, and that. And that's gonna be the shape at the top. I do want that point there. And then number 1 and number 2. So just a little shaping. Okay, so that's what it looks like at the front. And then at the princess, that's what that shape looks like. And I like that. So we're here, we're here, we're here. And then we'll shape it like that. I mean, that's not that off. That's just like a hair. So hair here, hair here. That's fine. All right. But honestly, you need to basically walk every intersection that you have going on in all your pattern pieces. So we're here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we have center back here. And then we have the 3 boning channels here. Whew. That was a lot. But it went fairly smoothly. I mean, really just like the problem was this cluster in here with the trio. Okay. So that was really, we're going to have to watch for that when we do our first toile. So next, what we're going to do is I'm going to add seam allowance to everything. For now, I'm just going to do 1/2 inch on every single shape. And if we need to adjust for different seam finishes later on, then that's later. But just for fitting purposes, we're going to do 1/2 inch all the way around on every single piece. We can do things like labeling and how to label your patterns and all that stuff later on, but we have the important stuff. We have the grain lines marked on all the pattern pieces. We have the notches. We have the shapes. We're good to go. And in the next video, I am going to cut out our pattern in muslin, and I'm going to show you how to lay out your pattern pieces into a more efficient marker. Okay. I'm all about saving that fabric. All right. As usual, drop me your questions and your video requests below. Share, subscribe, give me that thumbs up to show me some love. And I will see you in the next video.